Spheres of Power is an alternate magic system for the Pathfinder Roleplaying Game and, by extension, other similar D20 games. Rather than being a new way to access spells and spell levels and the like, Spheres of Power is a complete rewrite. It throws the old traditional system completely out the window and builds something new from the ground up, allowing for a concept-based approach to building and playing magic users. And yes, while Spheres of Power does include many new classes, virtually any caster can be outfitted with the Spheres of Power system, and Spheres of Power can easily be played at the same table as the core magic system without issue. Spheres of Power is a concept-based magic system, meaning that rather than adjusting the idea in your head to fit the magic, you can adjust the magic to fit the idea in your head. This is accomplished through the use of two different systems, casting traditions and the spheres. The first, casting traditions, is how a GM or player can adjust the hows and whys of magic. Whether they are building a custom campaign setting or simply creating a unique character idea, casting traditions allow a GM or player to adjust the rules a caster must abide by in order to access and shape their power. For example, classic D&D was built on two different casting traditions. Arcane magic, which requires casters to speak magic words, wave their arms around, and often must use magical components to fuel their power, and divine magic, which requires users to speak a prayer and often use a holy symbol, but otherwise requires much less arm waving and much fewer crystallized bat droppings. While variants have appeared over time, such as the Bard who uses arcane magic but can wear armor, or the Oracle who's like a cleric but doesn't forget their spells after casting, to a large extent, these are the two casting traditions of classic Dungeons & Dragons and its offshoots. Let's imagine instead that the GM wants a Mistborn world where people ingest metals to fuel a specific set of at-will abilities, or a Harry Potter world where wizards all use words and wand movements to generate effects, or perhaps a custom world where alchemists use addictive chemicals to grant themselves psychic powers, and blood clerics chant to the blood god and spend their own blood to fuel their power, increasing in strength the closer they are to death. When using Spheres of Power, one can create any of these and many, many other possible casting traditions by combining two ideas, drawbacks and boons. Drawbacks are the limitations that exist for a specific casting tradition. Does your power come from chanting and creating specific hand gestures? Does it come from magical materials? Does it make your body glow like the sun while the whales of the dead rise up from the netherworld with each spell, making subtle magic use impossible? Does it require the drawing of intricate runes, such that one's artistic ability directly impacts their ability to create magic? These and many more possibilities are all drawbacks, and help refine the process by which a caster creates their magic. The more limiting a casting tradition is, the more powerful its practitioners, either by granting bonus spell points, which are explained later in this video, or by the gaining of boons, which are specific benefits a casting tradition grants its users. Boons could include things such as making it easier to maintain a magical effect via concentration, or granting additional power if the user is near death or has spent their resources, or giving them the ability to overcharge their magic into more powerful expressions. In the example Custom World explained earlier, if we were to create those casting traditions, the alchemist would probably possess the material casting and addictive casting drawbacks to reflect that their magic comes from a drug with harsh side effects. The blood clerics would probably possess vocal casting and draining casting to reflect their magic comes from chance and spending their own health, as well as the deathful magic boon to grant them additional power the closer they are to death. Through combining drawbacks and boons, you can create all sorts of potential casting traditions to better reflect the world you want to build or the character you want to play. The second system that Spheres of Power uses is the spheres themselves. The spheres are a system for determining what abilities a magic user possesses, and just like with casting traditions, are designed to facilitate concept-based design. When determining the power of a magic user, Spheres of Power shuns the old idea of spells and spell levels completely and instead measures power through caster level, spell points, and magic talents. Caster level in Spheres of Power is a system that scales similarly to base attack bonus and determines the strength of an effect. Spell points are a key-like pool that is used to fuel particularly powerful abilities and refreshes after a good night's sleep. Magic talents, then, are how a magic caster determines what abilities they possess. Magic talents are gained as one increases in level and are spent to learn new abilities, similarly to how a fighter might spend feats to learn new fighting styles, or a rogue might spend rogue talents to learn new tricks. Each caster spends talents to either unlock a new sphere or to gain a new talent in a sphere they already possess, and each sphere grants at least one or more abilities. These abilities are usually usable at will, but with an option to spend spell points to enact a particularly powerful version. For example, let's imagine you want to build a combat pyromancer. In the core magic system, your options are limited to what spells are on the spell lists at each level. You'll be using Burning Hands at first level, Scorching Ray at third, and you won't be able to throw your first iconic Fireball until level 5, and each of those only a few times per day. With Spheres of Power, you would instead build your hypothetical combat pyromancer according to concept. With the Destruction Sphere and the Fire Blast talent, you would gain the ability to throw fire to your heart's content, which you could refine with further talents to gain the ability to make fireball explosions, long-range guided shots, the ability to use your blast to knock other attacks out of the air, and a lot more, all available from first level. There are 20 magic spheres in total, each of which grant new abilities and include a host of talents for further refinement, including Alteration, Conjuration, Creation, Dark, Death, Destruction, Divination, Enhancement, Fate, Illusion, Life, Light, Mind, Nature, Protection, Telekinesis, Time, War, Warp, and Weather. Since Spheres of Power's initial release, we've also added several new spheres to the system, including the Blood Sphere that grants all manner of specialized powers revolving around blood manipulation, and the Fallen Fae Sphere, which gives the caster the ability to imitate the properties of, and even exert control over, the Fae beings of the unseen world. Between custom casting traditions and the concept-based approach of the spheres, Spheres of Power is a system that allows for all manner of custom magic casters, including magical lycanthropes, ice queens, candy mages, pet summoners, Jekyll and Hyde alchemists, Dragon Ball Chi users, teleporting warriors, and a lot more. If you are interested in learning more about the Spheres of Power system, you can find us on the Drop Dead Studios Facebook page, Patreon, as well as wherever fans of Pathfinder congregate to discuss stories and character ideas.